Welcome back. Now in this video it's all about the primary purpose of our lives, and while this is such a generous topic because there's so much to say about it, it's also kind of hard and an unfortunate topic because number one, it is beyond the words, and number two, you can't really say everything that there is because there's so much, and number three, it's a highly specific, highly personal thing. So whatever you're going to learn here right now in this video, you need to look, number one, beyond the words, kind of feel it out, what does it mean specifically to you, and number two, finding your own personal applications. There's no one general explanation of those things. You need to find the specific application of what we're talking about here for you. So the primary purpose is becoming one with life, knowing who you are. And the path is to become more and more aligned with life. You see, life has a beautiful feedback mechanism. It tells us when we are aligned and when we're not. When we're not aligned, our life tends to be messy, we tend to mess up, life just doesn't work out. We hurt ourselves, people get angry at us, we get frustrated at people, we break things, we have a little money, we are frustrated, all those things where we struggle with like unhealthy habits, with smoking, drinking, overeating, exploiting sexual pleasures for making us, trying to fill ourselves up. All those things are kind of feedbacks by life telling us that we are not quite aligned. On the other hand, if we are aligned, our life works out kind of like magic, so to speak. You are at ease, in poise, bad habits tend to fall away and you're just naturally at ease. You feel good, welcome, very well in your own skin. And this is what it's all about. Becoming more and more aligned with life. And this means, on one hand, the study of life. I believe every person's priority in life should be to study and educate themselves about life, about psychology, about spirituality, and about how those all link together to just live a good life. Whatever your favorite flavor of learning about life is, it needs to be a priority to learn about life. Many people go out of school and within the school system, it's never been taught. That's very, very frustrating and unfortunate that young adults who try to figure out their way through life have never been given any guidance towards that by mature, emotionally, spiritually mature people who lead them on the way. So we take it on and we need to educate ourselves by methods like this, or books or audio programs, to find our own way. So becoming more and more aligned with life means to learn about life, learning about the principles of life, how life works. So you can make your life work by aligning with life, and then your life works out. One of the most important questions to consider, rather than blaming yourself or somebody else, is maybe the reason why my life doesn't work out is because I don't know how life works. Could that be a possibility? And this is what this learning about life is all structured upon, that we see life, what's happening, is a feedback mechanism to us. It's kind of neutral. All the things that we see as negative, they are as neutral as the positive things. It is just a feedback of how energetically aligned with life we are. And becoming aligned with life means incorporating lessons like openness. You see, life, for example, opens up to everything. Life doesn't exclude. Life laughs unconditionally, and life is neutral. You see, when the deer is starving and it's looking for food in the wintertime, the food is scarce, it feels the emotion, but it doesn't complain, it just goes on. It surrenders. And every emotion, when we can, take it as believing that deers actually feel emotions, that's what I wanted to say, then those emotions are felt, they are not blocked, they are not stuck. But we as humans, we have mental capabilities that make us able to shut off those emotions. And here we need to become more aligned with life, learning about life, observing nature, exposing ourselves to life, working through our topics that want to be seen. And this is what I mean by becoming aligned with life, a little bit closer towards how life actually behaves. And you know that by studying, by seeing. It's not all that complicated, it's actually very simple, and we need to let go of craving for complexity and going for more love of simplicity. That's what it's all about. So most of the time, the way of following your first purpose of getting more and more aligned with life is to first understand yourself as an egoic entity. You know, learn about your false self, the concept that you hold of yourself, where you believe that you are. Your egoic entity, your patterns, your self-concept, the story of yourself, like the past that is being retold in the present over and over. Emotional and mental bodies, that means like the thoughts kind of that your everyday experience comprises of, and the emotional body, you know, the emotions that you tend to feel more and more. It makes sense, and for many people that's a great access way of like self-discovery, of first learning about who I am in the sense of what defines me, and then finding what is beyond the definition, what is beyond those defining characteristics, and then you come towards the emptiness, you know, stillness, life itself. That you see that life is pumping your heart, life is growing your hair, and you are life. In the same way as the rocks are life, in the same way as the deers, the animals are life. So are we an expression of life in the same way as all else in nature is. So in this way, we are distinct from other people and from other beings, but we are not kind of separate, at least not on the level of essence. On the level of essence, we are all part of this revolving, evolving earth within the universe, within the solar system, that is just expanding and revolving, and we are all part of the same evolutionary kind of pulse that beats. You see, the pulsation of life, so to speak. We are an expression of that. So, with this being said, one of the ways that's employed by many people is the way of self-discovery, learning about the things that comprise your mental identity of, and then letting go of that, having seen those characteristics, letting go of that, and then seeing that which is beyond. And this is the first purpose of life, because when you know yourself, when you know your essence, you don't have any other choice but to be aligned with that. And life then will respond beautifully, and you will see that things are falling into your place because you are being yourself. You don't try to be different than you are, because life doesn't try to be different than it is. Life just is. The deer doesn't try to be different than it is, nor does the bug, nor does the plant. They don't have any mental concept of who or what they should be, neglecting what they actually are. It's good that we have an idea, can kind of mentally anticipate what is going to be, but not at the negligence of what is right now. This is the punchline. So in this way, we have to become more and more aligned with life. So, but it needs to be integrated knowledge. You see, knowing that, yes, I am life, integrated knowledge means you actually live by that. You have integrated it deeply so that there's no other, like, living in delusion is not even an option anymore, because you've integrated that knowledge that this is the only thing that makes sense, and this is your first purpose. So a little guidance for you on the way. Make yourself on the way towards consciousness work, whatever that might mean to you. What it means for me is to see those topics that you have, the emotions that come up and the thoughts and characteristics that you see yourself comprising of, and holding them within consciousness. That means getting rid of the stickiness. And by getting rid, I mean embracing and not fighting. You know, the path of non-resistance, of seeing those things, letting them arise, and seeing them as objects in consciousness rather than something personal. And one of the great ways is actually, you know, talking it out with a good friend. This is something that you can start on actually right when you finish that video. Talk to a good friend and talk out different topics that you feel very uncomfortable talking out. And then you see what I mean by the principle of holding them as objects in consciousness, because once you've talked them out, once it's spoken and you've overcome the fear of sharing that with somebody else, you actually see that it wasn't all that big of a deal. And this is the fundamental insight that we then also gain about other areas of our life. It's actually not all that big of a deal. Fear is just an emotion. We've got to go beyond that, and that's what it's all about. So this is, for me, it's this path. It's the path of emotions, you know, of feelings. Finding freedom through the gateway of feeling through our emotions. And I have an entire program about that. It's called the 10x Aliveness Transformation Program. Maybe you're seeing this series as a bonus of that. If you don't, consider taking a look at that, because it goes more deep on that. And yes, with this being said, let's see you in the next video, where it's all about the secondary purpose of life.